civil rights, women's rights, pollution, gay rights, world hunger, imperiled family farms, and more. Through rock, the youth culture had a voice. Rock's roots date back to 1944 and the emergence of hundreds of independent record labels. A good number of these labels recorded black artists, pioneering a new form of saxophone-driven dance music, known broadly as jump blues. This extension of boogie-woogie led directly to R&B in 1949, which relied on smaller ensembles, vocals, and a distinct backbeat. By then, the use of tape in studios reduced the cost of recording and enabled a greater number of small labels to record R&B artists. Unlike pop and jazz, R&B exhibited a new level of earthiness and blunt sexuality, and R&B concerts added visual excitement. In the mid-1950s, the music shifted, and a new, gentler form of R&B was marketed to teens. Instead of dwelling on sex, drinking, cheating, and other adult themes that dominated R&B records, rock and roll concerned itself with teen anxieties and social issues, such as cars, school life, dances, dating, breaking up, and falling in love. Uplifted by animated disc jockeys who played rock and roll records and championed the youth culture on the radio, teens embraced the music and concerts as a way to bond socially and rebel against the restrictions imposed by authority figures. They also began to question and challenge adult values. Before the arrival of rock and roll, popular music made little effort to win over young listeners. One of the first significant pop concerts was Paul Whiteman's An Experiment in Modern Music at New York's Aeolian Hall in February 1924. The concert was notable for the debut of George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, a classical jazz suite commissioned exclusively for the event. Whiteman's intent was to show that American jazz in the hands of a Broadway songwriter could impress a highbrow audience weaned on European classical music. The paying audience was composed mostly of adults. Louis Armstrong's lyric and bold trumpet playing during performances with the Fletcher Henderson Orchestra in the 1920s and in his own Hot 5 and Hot 7 ensembles helped jazz's raucousness and dance steps connect with young adult audiences. Armstrong also helped establish the electrifying improvised solo. Bix Beiderbecke's horn did the same with college-age audiences in the 1920s. Throughout the decade, jazz was so potent that the syncopated music left its mark not only on young adults, but also on everything from fashion and design to architecture and the English language. There's a reason the 1920s was known as the Jazz Age. With the onset of the Depression in the early 1930s, radio became the country's most popular source of live music. You paid once for a radio, and all of its programming was free, thanks to the sponsorship of advertisers. Once the sound quality of radio vastly improved with the advent of the ribbon microphone in 1931, live on-air music and announcers' voices were clearer and more lifelike. Radio sales climbed, and programming became more diversified. By the mid-1930s, radio house bands and orchestras performed popular and classical music live in the radio studio throughout the day. To protect those jobs, the musicians' union prohibited the airplay of records. The first inkling that live dance music might gain traction with young audiences nationwide came during Benny Goodman's appearance at Los Angeles' Palomar Ballroom in August 1935. Since the early 1930s, black bands led by Jimmy Lunsford, Fletcher Henderson, Chick Webb, and others had already been playing a new, looser form of dance music at ballrooms in black communities. White radio listeners were largely unaware of these bands or their performances in the early 1930s, since race records, as they were known then, were sold mostly in black neighborhoods. In the summer of 1935, Goodman's final cross-country tour performance was to be held at the Palomar Ballroom, with the NBC radio network set to air the show.